there's Brian.
Hey, we're recording again. Hey, sorry, we had a glitch, and we were in this really important thing, and I left the chat room hanging in a dumb way because I had basically started to say this, and I really need an answer to this now. But somebody comes to Facebook, let's say. They post a bunch of illegal pornography. Let's call it that. Facebook that's an illegal act by the people doing it, but also it would be illegal for Facebook to leave it up, right? They can't just leave it up. They have to be active in tools and programs and efforts to get rid of those things. So they do that as fast as they can. Do you worry that we're ever going to get to a place where the regulation is all about devil in the details? Like, did you get rid of it within 2 minutes? Because the law states you have to have it in 2 minutes or less.
That's a good question. And right now, because of a subsequent case after the passage of Section 230, Facebook doesn't even have to take it down.
Oh, okay.
Now, granted, they want to take it down because they want to be good actors, but it's not their responsibility to have to take it down at any point.
Gotcha.
The way the law was interpreted by the courts was more extreme than I think was intended, which is it is entirely the person who put it up responsibility, and therefore Facebook has no legal responsibility to do anything with it. In practice, all of the companies want to be good citizens and they will take those down. In practice, they put their own time limits on themselves. But I think where you could have some amendment is the original case law that Section 230 was built on goes back to a 1950s court case around a bookstore in Los Angeles that was sued for selling an obscene book. And this is, back when obscenity laws were different, probably wouldn't even be considered obscene today, but back then it was. And the bookstore said, well, wait a minute, we didn't know the book was obscene. Are we required to know the contents of every book in our bookstore? Because we don't read all the books in our bookstore, and we couldn't possibly. And that will restrict the books we sell if we have to, make sure that they've been signed off as okay. And the court said, that would reduce freedom of expression. And so we believe that you are a distributor of books. You are not required to know the contents. However, the court also said, once you're made aware that something is illegal, and some people in the chat room are like, what constitutes illegal? And it's like, well, that's for separate cases. That's for laws and the testing of those laws, and those exist. But let's assume there are laws and that you can know if something is illegal. It's not a judgment call. It's up to the courts. If you know it's illegal and you don't stop selling it, then you're responsible. So it's all about whether you can be shown to have known or not.
Right.
And that was what they were trying to apply to Facebook or apply to AOL actually back then. They were trying to apply to the internet is, let's say they're distributors, okay? But let's let them host the content. Because they're kind of publishers because they host the content, but they're acting like a bookstore. They're acting like a distributor. And then subsequent court case said, well, the way this law is written, it seems like, they're hands off. And so I think you could tighten that up and say, let's go back to that original bookstore case standard that says, once you can show they knew the content was there, because they can't possibly know all the content, especially on a platform as big as Facebook. But once they know it's there, then they have a responsibility to remove it. And honestly, Facebook's fine with that. Facebook and Twitter both are like, yeah, we are looking for content that we think is unacceptable, to the point that they're removing content that isn't even illegal, technically. It's just content that they think is harmful. And that is where it starts to get into this other issue of, okay, but if they're deciding what to remove, even if it's not illegal, then they're exercising editorial control. And originally this was to make an open forum for them. If they're exercising editorial control over what gets published, are they really a distributor?
Right.
And some people say, no, they're not. They're exercising editorial control, and therefore Section 230 should be written to have controls over that if they're going to exercise editorial control. Other people say, like, well, a bookstore gets to decide what books it sells. That doesn't make it a publisher.
Good point. Do you think Tim Cook's taking a spa day because he didn't have to go to this one? He's feeling pretty good about it. He's like, oh, man, I'm so glad we didn't get into social networking and freaking any of that
He's
crap.
He's like, man, I'm so glad Ping failed.
Yeah. Because now they don't have to do any of that stuff. He doesn't have to go to this particular hearing.
Yeah, all those social things we started in iTunes, if they'd caught on, we'd be right there.
Oh, glad those failed. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I'm obviously we'll know more toward the time we do the actual show today. So we'll have some, if anything comes up from this thing or any sort of interesting arguments arise, we'll be able to talk about them on the show, which would be great. So tune in 2:30 Mountain Time for an episode of the Daily Tech News Show. I'm on today, and I love being on. So you'll love being on too. And Tom took a shower, so why are you going to miss this episode? This is an amazing episode. Tom showered.
This is a very special episode.
Very. Such a rare moment for us, like a unicorn. Just kidding. He showers every day. Hey, Tom, anything else you'd like to mention before we cut out of here today?
Yeah, I'm really excited. The Daily Tech News Show has its first commissioned article up on the website at dailytechnewsshow.com. This started with a text message chat with me and Merrill Barr last night about the corporate reorganization at Netflix. And he was explaining to me, like, this is why it's going to impact you. This is why it's going to change the kind of shows that Netflix makes. And I was like, dude, can you write that up somewhere so I can link to it and talk about it on Cord Killers? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Nobody's buying my stuff right now, but I want to buy my stuff anyway. And I was like, well, I'll hire you. So I hired Merrill, and he wrote an article called Why Netflix's Corporate Shakeup Matters to You. It explains what's going on with the corporate shakeup, what it means for how they select television shows, and why that might mean you'll get different shows out of Netflix and maybe better shows, depending on what your opinion is. So go check that out, dailytechnewsshow.com.
Yeah, there it is. Big headline right on the front of the page. Go check it out, dailytechnewsshow.com. And, of course, today, the Daily Tech News Show happening at 2:30 Mountain Time. Check it out live or archive. Tom, have a fantastic day. We'll see you
Thanks.
soon.
See you guys.
Bye now.
See you, Tom.
Sorry about the rigmarole, though.
Quite all right.
Well, it's working now, so.
All right, so let me tell you about my recommendal for this week. It's
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
We got to do those again. No, we don't. We got to get out of here. That's what we're going to do. Hey, you guys are great. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for your patience for the blip. We are, as always, grateful for your support at our Patreon, patreon.com/TMS. We know things are a little weird right now. So anybody out there who's able to continue to support us, it really means a lot to us and helps keep us afloat. And hopefully that means other things stay afloat because of the trickle-down effect of the economy. Don't at me about Reagan. I know, it's a messed up thing. Anyway, I shouldn't have gone there. Patreon.com/TMS is the place to go. And for everything else you may be looking for, submitting song requests, trying to find our Twitter accounts, old episodes of the show all the way back to 2011, you can find it all at frogpants.com/TMS. And send us those emails, themorningstream@gmail.com. All right, Brian, we're out of here. Let's play a song. What do you got for me now?
I got a good one. I'm excited about this. Frog Panzer Tank wrote in and said, I've noticed a little bit of a negative outlook in the Discord lately. A lot of members seem to be weighed down by the pandemic, the election, etc. They need a little burst of positivity, even if I have to track them down and beat them with a happy stick.